So last year I made $1 million in a single day. And more importantly, I met my dream wife. And when I say dream wife, like I literally had a document, like a perfect partner document, and wrote all the characteristics that I wanted from, her personality to the way she looks, everything. And she's that plus more. It's actually like quite insane. Every day I still can't believe it's actually real. But the reason I'm talking to you about this and telling you guys about this is because all this happened based on me understanding one principle and living by that one principle and operating based on that one principle, which I'm going to share with you guys today. I've got literally nothing to tell you guys except the fact that I want you guys to take this information, implement it into your life so you can literally become the architects of your own reality and live and feel the way I do. That's all I want for everyone else. So the principle that I'm going to talk to you guys about is the one that Nikola Tesla is famous for. He says that when you think of the world, think of it through energy, vibration, and frequency, because it's the universal secret of the world. And what he means by that is that picture yourself like this giant radio station, right? And you are able to tune into different frequencies around the world. Now, those frequencies depend on the way you operate. And literally, your internal world will shape your outer world. So the frequency that you emit is going to reflect back to whatever you are internally emitting. And what I want to share with you guys today is how to operationalize this concept, right? Because it is a bit woo-woo, but what does it mean day to day, and how can you think, act, or behave that can, turn you into a high frequency being? Now, first of all, there's this concept that Dr. David Hawkins, he wrote a great book called Power and Force, if you want to read it, but he has this map of consciousness, and it pretty much shows like at the top, the highest vibrational frequencies in terms of emotions, like love, peace, fulfillment, as you probably expect, and at the bottom is like guilt, shame, anger, and that kind of stuff. And the biggest problem is that in society, a lot of people are acting as low frequency beings because of Instagram, because of the junk food, the alcohol, the drugs, whatever it might be. And when you operate at a low frequency, it's very hard for you to then attract the desired things you want into your life because you operate at that low frequency. And we need to make that shift into high frequency beings. And when I start to think like, how can I operationalize, because I'm an entrepreneur, this kind of principle into my life so I can consistently operate at a high frequency, I came down to this couple models I'm going to share. The first one is to acquire what you admire. Because if you want to operate at a frequency of love, right, you first of all have to have love for yourself. And we're in like a pandemic where people don't love themselves because of, the comparisons out there on social media, etc. And because of all the other things that downgrading our self-worth with the junk food, the drugs, alcohol, etc. But if you wanted to do that, have high self-worth and love for yourself, then you want to be able to acquire, or you have to be able to acquire what you admire. You want to acquire what you admire. So what I did, I literally had like this admiration tree, which I had, different stems, and I said, I admire this in that person, and I put that all on a tree. And I was like, I need to acquire all these things, because if I do acquire all the things that I admire, then I'll have such high self-worth, high self-love, that I'll just operate as a high frequency being all the time, pretty much, right? Makes sense. So once I create the admiration tree of all these different qualities that I want to admire, the next thing is like acquiring them. And to do that, you do an input-output equation, meaning that what are the inputs I can do every single day that would make it unreasonable for me not to acquire that branch. And, let me take you back to the most simplest form of health and fitness that everyone understands. But if your goal is to, be shredded, six-pack, whatever, under 10% body fat, then there's certain things you need to do every single day that's in alignment with that identity of that person who has that. And once you put that all down on paper, for that, it might be, eating a certain amount of calories every single day, training a certain day, sleep, supplements, whatever it might be, then your job is to focus on the inputs every single day. And you convert them into non-negotiables. And these non-negotiables is literally the secret to operating at the high frequency, to get you off the mark. There's going to be a lot more advanced stuff I can talk about in different videos. This is the first fundamental steps that you guys can start with. And when you have these non-negotiables that span across all the different branches you're trying to acquire, what happens is that you start to detach from the outcome. And when you start to detach from the outcome, you live from a place of peace, which is, again, at the highest part of the vibrational frequency chart. And when you live from a place from peace and you're operating at all the different inputs that that new person, the new identity you're creating that you admire, then you are acting as that person you admire already as a byproduct. And when you act as that person as a byproduct, what happens? You have more self-love for yourself. Again, the top of the spectrum. You start to operate at a higher frequency because your self-love and your self-worth is literally like a ceiling to your ability to manifest or your ability to attract the desired reality. Because manifestation is literally a combination of the most dominant thoughts, feelings, and actions. And think about your feelings and actions and thoughts if you're living in alignment with the person you want to be. Very hard for you to have conviction, very hard for you to have self-belief. And that is one of the most important things, that self-belief and self-love in yourself in order to attract your desired reality. And think of it as a ceiling. So if you have low self-worth, the ceiling is very low in terms of what you can actually attract into your reality. So then once you do that, then you create the opposite, right? The opposite is all the things you don't want to be. The complete polar opposite of things. Maybe it's someone who drinks every weekend. Maybe it's someone who doesn't work out. Maybe it's someone who doesn't have a profitable business, whatever it might be. And now you have your positive visualizations and negative visualizations. And now you can go to work. You create a list of non-negotiables, right? And you live by that. You live by that. You detach from the outcome. You step into that new identity, a new version of yourself that operates at a higher frequency. And I am telling you now, synchronicities will happen and you'll start to be shocked. You won't believe how your life will start to change and the people will change around you because your frequency has changed. Because the world isn't as it is as you are. And you can't outrun something, right? Only your frequency can actually attract something into your life. And you can't outrun your own frequency. It's impossible. So always think frequency first in everything that you do. And if you have that outlook and think for that one principle of frequency first, even if you're filming content, if you're, showing up to the gym, hanging out with friends, whatever it might be, operate the high frequency first and everything else will follow. It's as simple as that. Now, I know this video isn't super in-depth or long, but I just wanted to give you some basic principles at the start to how to think through this lens of operating at a frequency first and viewing the world from a frequency perspective. And there's some operationalized things that you can take, into your life today. Create your admiration tree, create a list of non-negotiables, and just see how you feel. I've had clients that I've coached and these principles, and all of a sudden within 3 weeks, signed a new client, 30 grand a month out of nowhere. His strategy did not change, but he did. So focus on the who, not the how, if you want your life to change. And I'm telling you now, it will be like, at the start, it's shocking. You can't believe it's happening, but then you start understanding the game that you're playing and everything becomes normal. So frequency first, focus on the who, not how. Take your admiration tree, non-negotiables, operate from a high frequency, and see what happens next. So that's it for today. Like and subscribe if you want. If not, that's fine. But I will be sharing a lot more videos in this reality creation one, a lot more advanced tutorials and how to change your life and be the architect of your own reality. So hopefully you guys can live your dream life exactly like I am. So perfect. I'll see you guys next one. Peace.